the same as we did one time before. One of the things, I sometimes think it has to be done, but one of the things I don't like doing is having Mass, and then in the middle of the Mass, sometimes it has to be done, but after the Gospel, and then there's a large presentation, oftentimes a financial presentation, and for me, it seems to be an interruption. It's not actually, but it seems to be an interruption of what we're doing. So I have to make a presentation this morning, and so what I've decided to do is do it before Mass. And so much of how we celebrate Mass on a Sunday will just be set aside, and we will have Mass as though we say Mass on a daily basis. We won't sing the parts of the Mass. Everything will be pretty much spoken throughout the Mass. We will distribute communion just under one form, under the host. And hopefully, with those little changes and the presentation, we will be out within the hour. I'm going to show you a video in a few minutes. It's to kind of an overview of the home campaign that we at All Saints have already launched almost 6 months ago, and we've been at work. And sometimes somebody mentioned to me recently that comes to Mass regularly every Sunday, and approached and said, "What is this home campaign? When did it start? What is it?" And what it makes you realize is that communication sometimes is very hard. Even though you're communicating and you're speaking, sometimes people don't catch it, or it's at different times, and so this, you have to communicate 7 times, 7 different ways in order for it to come across, and even with that, there will be still many questions. I'm going to show you this little picture. If you didn't see the football game last night, here we are now. Not really. What I want you to look for is in the home campaign, there are 5 prongs to it. One, how it helps the parishes and how it helps the diocese. I'll talk afterwards about how it helps the parish and what we're doing. But within the diocese, look for the fact and the little presentation that the home campaign will be a charity outreach where people of the diocese will be asked to participate in a new Pope Francis fund. The second one will be how the diocese reaches out to help people who want a Catholic education, whether that's Catholic schools, schools of religion, youth ministry, adult education. The other one is the retirement fund for priests throughout the diocese, and how the people in the diocese can contribute to the retirement of priests. By the way, when I was ordained a priest and came to the United States, my salary was $90 a month, and there was no health care and there was no retirement. It is now law in the church that there has to be health care and there has to be a retirement. That's just a development of how we have grown. So I'll just run this, and then I'll speak to you afterwards. You can sit down front there. Thank you. And I'm not very technical, and let's hope this goes. Yep, it's coming up. And I'll just turn this off a second.
What is the home campaign? It's simple. The home campaign is a chance for our diocese, everyone in our diocese, to make a commitment to the future of this diocese. Will it be easy? Absolutely not. This may be the biggest challenge the faithful of our diocese have faced since the day it was established.
I love the name that we chose, the home campaign, because it's about home. It's about a parish church. It's about a diocese. And you can't separate the two. For a parish church doesn't exist without the diocese, and a diocese doesn't exist without the parish churches.
Home, where we worship, where we teach, and where we serve. And I think that's a beautiful triad of service.
It's not your parish and the diocese like we're some separate thing. It is with the Catholic Church in East Tennessee. And without that sense of unity and identity, we would never have grown from the past.
There are 5 real components to the home campaign. 5 areas where we as faithful Catholics can make a big difference. And it starts in our home parishes.
And we're blessed, through the diocese. We were given the foundation, purchased land for us. And now we're in the process of working to make something real happen with that. And the people are working very hard, from the smallest children to the oldest, all trying to find a way to come up with the financial resources to create a place of worship that will honor God and attract even more people to the gift of the sacraments.
The only thing that's stopping us right now is money. We are so anxious to have a worship space that I don't think it'll take long for us to raise the funds that we need.
Sí, estamos muy emocionados todos. Estamos, ojalá y no pase tanto tiempo para que haya una iglesia aquí, una iglesia muy grande para todos nosotros.
Every parish has projects that are always waiting in the wings because there's not enough funds to go around. But this is a great opportunity to say, we can finally do this project. But this is what we've been waiting for. I think it's very timely for a lot of parishes. The religious education building was the old convent that the Dominican sisters lived in to teach our young people at the school that's now closed. Well, we've turned it into classrooms for our young people for religious education, but it's not finished. There's a lot of work. The 3rd floor is completely unfinished, almost abandoned. It needs a lot of TLC.
Our commitment to the poor has always been strong and will remain that way. The Home Campaign wants to foster and accelerate charitable projects with matching grants to parishes through the Pope Francis Charitable Trust Fund.
Every year, we give at least $6 million to help our sisters and brothers, both in charitable causes as well as in education. And that's only going to increase.
It's not an either-or, as our bishop has said, but it's an opportunity to show that charitable works flow from our faith and from our worship.
The $6 million every year will continue. And if you do the math, in 5 years or less, we will have given to the poor more than we're giving to the cathedral.
The priest retirement fund is really, as you might imagine, priests aren't exactly listed in the high earner bracket, But we try to pay them enough to make it a just wage. But like everybody else, they have to set aside money for their retirement. And we want our priests to be able to live with dignity and enjoy the later years of their life when they're not able to work anymore.
It's a matter of justice. Our guys give so much time and the totality of their life. In some ways, it's the diocese says to a pastor or a priest, thanks. We hope that you can enjoy your time, whatever you choose to do.
For us as church, we always want to be able to offer that opportunity for Catholic education for the people who choose to send their kids to Catholic schools. In my years in education, sometimes I had parents who were very good people and would give whatever they could, but they couldn't afford to give much. And yet, the church offers them the opportunity for a Catholic education.
Sacred Heart Cathedral for our diocese is that symbol of unity, that symbol of charity in our diocese, because when we gather as one to pray, it leads us into charitable action in the world. The church's primary mission is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And one of the ways that we do that is to create sacred space for everyone.
If we understand that Christ is in every person, and our task and a privilege as a Catholic to share our resources, to share what we have to make someone else's life better, whether that's through helping the poor lift up their lives a little bit stronger, whether it's helping a small church get started, or it's building a cathedral.
This is about our future, but also for all the things that the foundation of our diocese has been built on for 25 years. We want to make sure that the church we hand on to the next generation is a church that continues to grow and have the capacity to grow. So I just invite people to join with me, because it's all about working together, but we join with Jesus, who invites us to build his church. And so I invite everyone to join me in doing just that.
Very often people are tempted to think, well, our best days are behind us. Anybody who believes that the best days of the church are behind us, let them come to the Diocese of Knoxville. Anybody who believes that the church is timid and scared and embarrassed, let them come to the Diocese of Knoxville. Anybody who believes that the church is old and tired and fatigued, let them come to the Diocese of Knoxville. And I thank you for the inspiration and the hope that you give me. Thank you.
Bishop Sticker called the campaign the Home Campaign, and looked up the definition of home. We kind of take it for granted, but it's a place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family. And that's what I would really like to emphasize this morning, is to have that sense that we are a family. It's a very difficult task to do. Just you with your small units in your own home to build a family, it's hard work. I have to build a family here at All Saints. I have 2,800 individual units, and my job as a pastor is to try all kinds of ways where we pull each other together and work as a unit for the proclamation of the kingdom. What I have been doing with many people doing tremendously hard work, I have met the way we've done it at All Saints, have to tell you, is different from how the outreach is in the other parishes. I chose to do it a particular way. Anybody that's familiar with fundraising, the way oftentimes that is put forth is that what you do is you go to people who are well blessed, and you motivate them to contribute, if you like, the bulk of what it is that we're going to need. And then you come to the general folks who kind of say, well, we want to be involved too, but we can't do it at that level. I chose to do it a different way at All Saints. And that is that we gather, when we gather, we'll gather as family members. And whoever is in the room may indeed be well blessed with material things in this world. But also in the same room might be people who are struggling, but it's still God's blessing. And we claim each other, work each other, support each other. And I've had about 30 gatherings in homes up to now, encouraging people to meet each other, to support each other, to respect each other, to be grateful to each other. That's what I try to do in the home meetings. I've had up to 30 already. In fact, we sent out 1,200 invitations to just across the board to many of you to come and participate. What's wonderful is that we've had 209 families who responded and said they could come, because I know that sometimes that's very difficult. Our schedules, it's hard to do it when you are invited. But then there's, I believe, another attitude that says, I don't want to do that. That's not what I do. And I understand that, but I'm still encouraging you to participate. Hands up, by the way, the number of people here who have participated in these meetings. Look around you. There's been a good number. Thank you so much for doing that. And if you could put up your hands, those of you who haven't been. Put up your hand. Almost the same numbers, almost the same numbers. So I'm going to encourage you when the invitation goes out to be one of the 209. And it has been an extraordinary experience for me personally, and a very humbling one, because one of the things that we do, we talk to each other. We get to know each other. Most people going to these meetings don't know each other. And by the time they leave, don't blame me for the length of the meeting. They stay longer because it's very warm and very inviting and very engaging. So I ask you to think about that and For instance, are Ed and Patty here today? Pomorsky? Yes, stand up. These people are very intimidating. I wouldn't go to their home. But just look around, have a look. You might just see their faces. Turn the other way around. Yeah. And let's see, Cy and Carol Hankey here. You can be seated. Yeah, okay. Same thing, very intimidating. But you see them in the choir, they come, they participate, they worship. And one of the reasons I do that is because we say home meetings and come, what are these? And they're just ordinary people with ordinary homes who offer their place for, because we're one family, we're brothers and sisters belonging to each other. Now, I've said this many times before, the dynamic that I am using as pastor is, yes, we've sent out letters and we're letting you know that it's happening. But if we just leave it at that and leave that up to you and say yes, because I really do believe there's tremendous goodwill in our parish and our people really want to know what's happening and what's going on. For instance, this is amazing to me. I mentioned it last week. Some of you may not have been there. But our building program that we began last August will be completed at the end of this month, January. And if any of you have anything to do with buildings, being 2 months ahead of schedule is an amazing feat and terrific. So we will be able to use them. I know, Deacon David, you've been having adult education programs, and our new offices and the meeting rooms are being well used at the same time, and people are very, very grateful for the extra space that we have. The parish hall at the end of January will be open, the nursery will be open, the new kitchen, the new spaces, that's all about to be launched. And if we just say, well, yeah, I'll participate, and you send out letters, it's going to be hard work because people don't reply. In fact, what you get is a 15% response. And it's not that people have ill will or anything. Everybody needs a certain motivation. If we do it the way that we are doing it, we'll get a 47% response. And it isn't that it's a hard sell. It's not a hard sell. It's nobody's business what anybody gives. But when we gather and meet each other across the board, across all fundraising, it's a 47% response. Of the 209 families that have attended our meetings, we're getting a 95% response. So you can see this is the way to go. And in that 95%, in a few minutes, I'll just let you know how well we're doing. For me, it's absolutely miraculous what is happening. I told you that the only gift that will be known is mine. Because in the loaves and fishes, somebody had to come across with a few loaves and a few fish. My gift to All Saints, because the campaign goes on for a few years, I don't mean that you're going to be hearing it from the pulpit for a few years. It'll be an intense program between now and the end of March. We've been doing it already up to now. And my gift is $10,000, and I will spread that out over a period of 5 years. I'll take that not from my salary. I can't do it. I'll take that from my retirement. You heard about it up there. And for me, $2,000 a year, I think I can do that. And there's no obligation when you make your commitment to follow through if things change. It's to be an effort and a response to a spirit that's inside all of us. And so I hope that you will see it that way and not as a big push and demand. It won't be any of those things. I've just gotten a blank. I've done this so many times. What's my next thing that I want to tell you? I've gotten a blank, drawn a blank. Anyway, let me tell you this. Of the 209 families that participated, like say for instance, my gift of $10,000, if you subtract $10,000 from our goal of $3 million, do you know what you still have? $3 million. It's a hard job to get from there to there. Why $3 million? We could have gone with the goal of $2 million, but I, as pastor, said, I think All Saints should have a goal of $3 million. Not because, wow, I think we can get $3 million or we should go for $3 million, but because of a situation that we have. When we participate in our program, Bishop Sticka has given me permission to take the first $1.1 million off the top to pay for the building program that we had already started. That's amazing that we got that opportunity, because across the diocese, the monies are divided up 50-50. And you saw here how 150% of that will be used. Our portion of that, what it's divided for All Saints, is 70% of what it is that you give, because that arrangement of the $1.1 million, 70% of that will remain at All Saints Parish. And to me, that's also a huge bonus. Of the 209 families, I'll save that. I'm going to give you my sermon now, because when we go into the Mass, because today is the feast of the baptism of Jesus. And what has that to do with what we're doing? What you'll notice is Jesus came simply as an ordinary man, seemingly. He was gone. And we've just done the Christmas season, and for 30 years, he's out there doing what you did, what you are doing. He's in a home, he's in a family, he's with his mother, he's probably working with his father, probably buried his father, and then a movement comes inside him by God's Spirit and says, now, this is what I want you to do. And he goes forth and he begins it by his baptism. And something extraordinary happens at that moment that had never happened before. It was the first time that the whole Trinity was revealed at the same time. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It was almost everybody comes in together and says, this is the moment. The Father says, this is my beloved Son. Listen to him. And the Holy Spirit descends on Jesus like a dove. But then there's John the Baptist. And John the Baptist says to Jesus, listen, I shouldn't be baptizing you. You should be baptizing me. And Jesus is coming in to almost reverse the way in which we do things. Hi, you're in bad trouble today, right? You're okay. Jesus reverses the way we do things. You know, we want to be, they're on top, they're important, they're the best, they're first. And Jesus comes in and says, no, do this. And he says an extraordinary simple word, give in for now. Give in. And in some ways, I'm saying to you on this new launching, give in for now. Give in. Oh, why should I give in? Why should I do that? I'm not used to doing that. He says, no, do that. This is the way I want it done. I will be the least. I will go wherever the Spirit takes me. And it's the beginning of the movement of Jesus' life, where whatever life takes him, he goes. But his confidence isn't, I'll manage this and I'll take this and I'll be able to take care of things. But rather, he goes because he really believes and wants us to know that his Father is guiding us. And some of the places he has to go into are really against him and against his well-being, seemingly. And the Father says, no, go on in there. Do this for now. Give in. And as we know, he also went into things which made people excited and delighted, and he demonstrated his power and his ability and all of those things. But it brought him right to the cross. And he says, give in for now. I know it's unjust, I know it's unfair, I know it's untimely, I know it's difficult, I know it's painful, but give in for now, because I want the world to know that nothing can separate us, not even death. And this baptism is an immersion into a way of life. I mentioned as you will hear, in the first reading of today's Mass, the way that message is to be proclaimed is not by shouting and pushing and making people do all kinds of things, but very humbly, just saying, this is what's happening. I invite you to come. Follow me. And he doesn't shout or condemn or push aside. He just goes forward. And later on, the church begins to reflect on that and goes. In the baptism of Jesus, something dramatic happened that motivated them to follow Jesus. And what I want you to know is that something dramatic has happened, I believe, at All Saints, that gives me unbelievable encouragement about what it is that we're doing. Because I, like you, when it all began, had my own negativity and my own questions and whatever, but we're on the way. What I want you to know is this dramatic thing that has happened is, of the 209 families that have already participated, we are $40,000 short of $1 million pledged from 209 families. That's, to me, miraculous. I don't know how it happens, except with the generosity of people. Yes, there are some wonderful, seemingly large gifts, but the majority are just people doing the best that they know how with what it is that they have, and suddenly the total is $40,000 short of $1 million. We are a third of the way towards our goal with 6% of our parish. And my word to you is that if there is negativity out there in you, which there possibly could be, and why wouldn't there be? Look at what has just happened and saying, wow, something is really happening, and what I believe is happening is God's Spirit. And so what I encourage you to do is, when the invitation goes out to you, do your best to say, yeah, I can, because I can't go during the day, I have work to do, and you will be other families there all ready to sign up, and you can participate in that. I want to thank you for that, and now we will go into Mass and pray that God will continue to bless us in the way that He does.